What up, folks? This your boy Dino, aka your Solid Five,
And Nikki T. Barry the creeping the rail.
and
And
we
we are
are the
the
Boo
Boo
Crew.
Crew.
So scared. Okay, so we have a very special guest today. We have Rebekah Kennedy. You've seen her on plenty of stuff.
That's
Hello.
right.
Thanks for having
Welcome.
me. Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
We're very excited. Um, again, let's go back in time. A little bit about your theater experience because I know that you did a lot of that before you actually started doing acting.
Oh yeah, a lot
Uh,
of it.
and
Yeah,
you're a Texas girl.
I am. I'm from Texas originally, living in Los Angeles now, but yeah, I started doing theater when I was 12. I wanted to do it from a very young age. I wanted to be an actor since I was like 4 or 5.
Mhm.
But my mom, when you're that young, it's kind of like, okay, sure, and back then we didn't have the resources we have now as far as as easily accessible things are now, like like the internet and social media and like how
Yeah.
do we get started? So it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't know how to do that, so we're just gonna, you're 4, so we'll just see if you still want to do it later. And
Right.
when I was 12, I did not make the cheerleading squad in junior high. I was very sad because all my friends were doing it. And so finally, my mom was like, all right, instead, do you want to still try acting? And I was like, yes, I do. So she found me a local children's group that, called Stars, that anyone that wanted to be in the show could be in the show. You auditioned for the parts, but they didn't turn anyone away. So it was a great, we rehearsed like once a week. So it was a great way to see, like, do you want to do this? Like,
Right.
as people, like sometimes we want to do stuff, but when we're actually doing it, we're like, this sucks. So, fair on my mom to like make sure that like this is actually interesting for me. So she said that she dropped me off the first day. They had already started rehearsing for the Music Man, but they were like, we'll put her in some numbers. We'll find places for her. They were so kind. And she said she came to pick me up that day and she was watching my face and she was like, oh, I think this is it. And she was right.
Mm.
And I haven't stopped acting since. So yeah, I did theater from 12 through high school, through I went to college for theater. After graduating, I did college. I did theater for quite a few years after graduating, and then finally I started kind of transitioning into film and TV. But theater is my background. I love theater. I would love to be able to go back and do a show at some point.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. But for now, I'm on the path I'm on. But I am so thankful for it because it really helped do what I am doing now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about theater, but it terrifies me. I've never done it, but like just knowing that you can go there and you can bomb, in front of a live audience and
Mhm.
like just have to just keep going until you finish it, They just at
It
least with
builds,
acting you have like take after take.
yeah, it builds character though. It
Yeah,
builds
yeah.
builds that, and it's funny because nowadays so much film and TV, if you look at it, they're doing long takes, right? They're
Right.
doing ones. Look at the studio is like, there's so many shows and even movies are doing long takes and that theater background. I mean, I recommend for anyone that wants to be an actor to do a play or a musical at some point because you're transferring that into that one take. I mean, you're doing, even though like you said, you do have more, chances when you're doing a long take, you rehearse, but you don't want to mess up because you don't have, maybe you're chasing the light or you don't have the opportunity to do, more than one or two because or look at adolescents. I mean, they did
Yeah.
whole episodes in like one take. So it's helpful for
Yeah.
transitioning, especially the way they're filming now.
That's a
Mhm.
big swing to do everything in one take.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I haven't done like where it's like that complicated. I mean, I've done long takes, but I haven't done where it's so complicated as far as like
Mhm.
moving and blocking and you're like going into another room and all of that. But I feel like I would be less nervous about it because I've done so much theater.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
just fucked up on our long take right now.
you're welcome.
No.
Um,
Oh. And I it's funny because like I mentioned that I was kind of at a crossroads as far as where I was going to go in my career. And I had auditioned for this play called Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You know, you guys, I'm sure know the movie. It's also
Hmm.
a musical. It's also a play. This was like the straight play version, and they were casting adults as the children because it was for children.
Yeah.
And I was cast as Lucy, and it was like, it's a great role. And I'd want to work. It's a great equity house in Dallas. I've wanted to work there for years and years, and I had auditioned, and I finally booked a part. And at the same time, I auditioned for a film, House Hunting, and I didn't know if I was going to book that, so I went and took the play, and we were like a week into rehearsals, and I found out I booked the film as well. And my agent at the time was like, if you want to do film and TV, you should go do this film.
Yeah.
So that was kind of so I left the play, and I was so sad. I cried. I was like, made sure they had someone else to replace me. I was so devastated to make that choice because you never know with film. Film is a gamble as well. Like
Yeah.
you could not start, you could book it, and up to the day before, even on set, you could get shut down. So things
Yeah.
are thankfully it worked out for the way it should worked out. But that was a hard choice in making, but it, kind of led me to where I am now.
Yeah, and that's when you booked your role as Hana, right?
Yeah, yeah, with yes, I was mute. I had no tongue.
Yeah. Hmm.
But it was my first like big movie. I mean, I filmed in Virginia for a month. I had never done a real. I mean, I had done like short films and student films, but I had never done like a real feature. So I felt like that was a good test to see like, do I actually want to do this? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was able to watch like maybe almost half of that movie.
Mm.
I didn't have time to finish it, but yeah, I was like, it's just so cool to see like, every kind of role you do, it's just so cool to see you do something a little bit different, each
Oh,
time or, you
thank
know,
you.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah, I
was a
wanted to make sure I checked that out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was a fun, it was a, it was a great first like foray into it because I didn't have a lot of lines I had to memorize, so that was
Yeah.
helpful. I didn't have to worry about that, but obviously everything else, but it kind of took the weight off of like that. But so I could really like watch and learn, and I learned so much from watching these other, Mark Singer and Art LaFleur and these other actors who had been working for years and years and years. And we lost Art a few years ago, and um, he was so kind and encouraging to me, and just pulled me aside one day, and he's like, just keep going, keep doing this. And it's like people like that you just like you know come into your life and like influence you in a way that you hadn't no clue they were going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as for that being like one of your like your first roles in film, playing the mute, did you have to do any research behind it to like trying to like get an understanding of how the character would act in a role like that?
Yeah, I mean, I always try to research some based on like whatever I'm playing, no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a little different because she like it was because her tongue was cut out, so
Mhm.
it wasn't
Mhm.
like it was a medical thing or like a choice or anything like psychologically that happened.
Yeah.
But still, I still did like look up like like what would that be like if that did happen because that maybe, that moves your mouth moves differently or, the way obviously you communicate is much
Yeah.
different. So yeah, so it was an interesting kind of challenge to like how is she going to communicate what she wants or needs or trying to tell them without being able to like tell them, you know.
Especially since you don't
Was
know
it
like sign
difficult?
language and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. She can't sign because it's not like she doesn't know sign language.
Yeah.
So
What were you saying,
Yeah,
Nick?
I said, like, what, like, was it difficult? Like, how, like, were there like outtakes of like you like actually fucking talking by accident because you do have a tongue, and it's like,
no.
like you're trying to be in the role, and like something like you're like, hey, what's going on? Like, oh crap, no, I'm not supposed to be able to talk.
No, but there were times where crew members would be like in between takes, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I forget that you can actually talk," because it was so much of it. Obviously, it was noises or silence,
Yeah.
and so it was an interesting. And sometimes it'd be like I could use it because there would be times where they would all be arguing, and it's like, I just want to like tell you, but I can't. So I could like use that for my character.
That's funny.
And what was the time frame of like booking that and then also like SVU?
Oh gosh, a lot, a long time.
Okay.
So I did house hunting. I filmed it in 2010. It was when I still lived in Texas. Um,
Okay.
I auditioned like in I think January, and we started filming in March. So it was a relatively like, you know, not like super long process, but like relatively, I didn't have a ton of time. And then I moved to Los Angeles in 2012, so shortly
Mm.
after I did the movie. And then SVU was my second guest star. I booked that in 2018.
Oh, the
So
18. Okay.
yeah,
That's a long
so
time.
it's
Yeah, because
it's
I saw also like you did. I mean, you did a lot of things. I mean, like Season of the Witch. I remember seeing that when it came out. Like
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so how was that with working with Nick
I
Cage or just being
I
on set with
forgot.
Nick Cage and Ron Perlman.
I forgot
Oh.
all about that movie too. Season of the Witch. I totally forgot about that movie. He did make that.
It was great. I mean, I worked more closely with Nick, but I mean, he was so lovely, so kind. I mean, so it was funny because I've had a lot of firsts. So that was my first big budget. I mean, that was like a $40 million movie. So
Yeah.
at that point, I had not worked on a budget that big, and so I was like very nervous because
Mhm.
I'd only really kind of done indies before that, and so
Yeah.
you're like relatively smaller. You're talking about 500,000 to a million. You're like this was like a much larger
Yeah.
production, and so I was very just like didn't kind of know what to expect, but everybody was so kind and nice, and he was lovely. I remember the first day I worked. God, it was August in Louisiana, and I don't know if
Mhm.
anyone's been into Louisiana in August, but it is so hot. And
Was
we're
it?
wearing, he's wearing the night stuff. I'm wearing the 14th century like dress. I mean, we're all just like sweating. And we're outside because it was like a fight scene where he's like killing everybody and then accidentally stabs me. And so there was a lot of extras running around and just a lot of moving parts. And he was so kind in making sure that I had enough water and like the sword he was using is a retractable sword, but it's still really heavy. And
Mhm.
so because I'm small, I had to have somebody behind me like hold making sure I didn't fall when he was like stabbing me because it was such a big machine that I like
Yeah.
couldn't hold myself. And every take he'd make sure I was okay and that I didn't need anything. And I don't know, he just afterwards he's like, "Oh man, you're gonna work forever." Like he was just very kind. I'm sure now he probably have no idea who I am, but he was very just like it was a great experience, like for
He was
my
supportive of you. Yeah.
what?
He was supportive. He
Yes,
was very supportive of you.
he was very supportive and nice. And then we saw them at the premiere and Ron was really, really kind, and I don't know, they just made me feel like I had a very small part in it, but they still made me feel like very special.
Yeah.
Very welcomed and
Nicolas
everything.
Cage looks like a really fun guy. Because when I think of Nicolas Cage, I think of Face Off all
Oh,
the
yes,
time.
such a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
That's like my go-to thing of I just see his face off face. So
Yeah,
he seems like a really fun guy to be around, to be honest.
yeah.
His
Well,
personality.
Great
yeah,
movies.
and plus, like he had his like wild days, before, and then now he's like
Oh
more
yeah.
ground. He's just gonna be. Uh,
Yeah, I would love to work with him again. I admire him because so much because he throws everything, gives everything,
yeah,
he doesn't
Mhm.
hold back. He does so much research on characters and really comes in with like, he's so good in long legs. Like I just,
mhm.
Yeah.
is a joy to watch.
He's
So
been on everything.
besides SVU, you also did shows like Memphis Beat, Criminal Minds.
Mhm.
What pulled you in towards that direction of starring?
I mean, honestly, auditions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to be like some cool story, but I mean, yeah, Memphis Beat was my first. I've only done one co-star so far, but like Memphis Beat was my first TV show.
Mhm.
So that was an interesting story. It films in New Orleans, and so they really wanted to see us live. And so it's a
Mhm.
12-hour drive. And so I lived in Texas at the time, so my parents went with me because I was like, I can't do this 12-hour drive by myself. Like
Yeah.
and my husband works. So my parents are both retired, so they were like, okay, we can, we'll go with you. Make a little trip out of it because it's like I hadn't been to New Orleans in a while, and it's like, well, we'll see some, just to have some fun, whatever. So we drive, I do the audition. Um, we were it was kind of later in the afternoon, so we decided, okay, we're just gonna stay the night instead of driving back. And thank God we did because so we stayed the night, we got up the next morning and to drive home, and we were like 6 hours home.
Mhm.
And I get a call, and he's like, my agent's like, you booked it, you got to turn around. So we were like, okay. And of course, I'd only packed enough for the few days that we were going to be there. So we had to go to the store and get some stuff. And like, so we turned around and went back. Yeah, I filmed that with Daniel Panabaker and just a lot of other great actors were in that episode. And again, everybody was so kind and nice and supportive. And I was very nervous. It was my first TV show, and it went well, and it was fun, and I had a great experience doing that show. And then the next thing I did was after I moved to LA was Criminal Minds, and
Yeah.
so that was an interesting experience. I had auditioned for the show twice before for just like smaller co-star roles, and then I got this one that which was a guest star, it was a much bigger role. And I thought it was going to just be a normal audition where you go in, you audition for the casting director, and then maybe you get a call back, or maybe you hear whatever, maybe you don't. And when I got there, I found out it was a producer session, which means everybody was in the room, the director,
Oh,
the casting director, and all the producers were in the room. And I was like, oh, okay, like I missed that. But it worked out for the best because I had coached with an acting coach right before, and he had helped. So part of the audition was like me breaking out of the kind of the prison we were in.
Yeah.
The and he's like, I don't know, if for some reason you're able to get up and go over to the girl that you're talking to. He's like, use that opportunity if you can. Normally, when you're auditioning for a casting director, you have to stay seated or standing, like you can't leave the frame. But because they were in the room, they were only taping for press, like just for their own records. It didn't matter. They were making decisions there, so I could get up and go over to her and like really have a conversation, which instead of being so far away. So it just like worked out in a that was kind of just kismet because I also met the girl that played my other sister before the audition, and her and I had a moment before I went into the room that was really helpful. And it was just like all these things just came together, and I auditioned at like 4 p.m. and I found out at 6 p.m. I booked it. So it
wow.
was a very fast process because they were trying to cast before Thanksgiving and we were filming right
Okay.
after Thanksgiving. And then SVU was a tape that I sent in and booked it off that tape. So it's been like everything kind of has been a when I've booked stuff, it's just been kind of an interesting alignment of things, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it's an interesting alignment. If you had to pick one, if you had to pick one that you would like stick with out of those three, which one would it be? I'm curious.
I mean, I loved playing Esther in SVU. Like, and if I hadn't died like, at the end of the episode, I mean, people are like, maybe they'll bring you back as someone else because obviously I can't come back as her. But yeah, I mean, I had she was such an interesting challenge, but I also understood her in a way that like didn't make sense because I did not
Yeah.
relate to anything she was going through. But when I got the audition, it felt like this was right. I mean, initially I thought there's no chance I'm going to book this. Like I never auditioned for the show before. I had never auditioned for this casting director. And I'm sending a tape from LA. I'm like, surely they're going to
Yeah.
find someone in New York that they can cast. And so I was like, at the end of the day, I'll just do my best job and hopefully like what we call win the room, have the casting director hopefully love me and call me back. And I sent my tape in on a Monday. I found out on Tuesday that it was like moving on to producers, they call it. And then Thursday, I found out I booked it, and then I flew out Sunday, and we started shooting Tuesday. And it was just such like I've just been really lucky in all of my experiences, especially on TV shows, have just all been supportive, encouraging people that have just like given me nuggets of things that I needed to hear at that moment for whatever
Right.
reason. It's like, keep doing this because they all, they're seeing people every 2 weeks. They're seeing new people come in and they never act like it. They welcomed me in, they made me feel supported, they made me feel encouraged, and they knew it was like a dark, they're working on dark shows and dark
Yeah.
material like every single episode. And they, there's a fun to it, but there's also a respect to the actors and what they're going through and what they're putting their soul out on the screen for everyone to see. So there is that as well, which is really helpful as an actor to work. And they were just kind humans. It just, I don't know, it was just a lovely experience. And I was so sad when I had to fly home. I worked all 8 days, so it gave me an idea of like, what it would be like to work on the show all the time. And
Yeah.
I cried at the end. I was very sad because it just was such a great experience. Yeah.
I would love to be on SB. I would love to play the drug
Yeah.
addict on SB. I think that would be fucking
Great.
fun.
I say that because I played a drug addict on Station 19. So I could
Yeah.
say and that was also another really fun show as well, and had like, again, amazing freaking people. Just from day one, like I was like, where do I sit for lunch? Because, on some shows, all the series regulars eat in their trailers. Like they don't
Mhm.
want to deal with people, which I get.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
understand. It's a lot every day talking to people. And this one, they were like, Rebekah, come sit with us. Like it just, it was like instantly felt like
It felt right.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I work in the public and, I see hundreds to thousands of people a day, interacting with a majority of them, and
All day
uh,
too.
yeah, and it's so exhausting. Like for the 30 minutes to an hour of free time I have during for my lunch, I'm like, headphones are on, don't
Yeah,
talk to me. Like,
I get it.
just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I totally get that. So it's like I totally respect that. And so I'm like, I'll eat with the crew or whoever, whoever's
right.
left. But I totally get it. If you're working every day and you're constantly bombarded by people and it's a lot. I'm an extrovert introvert. Like I'm an extroverted person, but I also need my time to like reset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called
Yeah.
Balance.
I
It's
don't get
called,
that. I find myself like irritable.
yeah. So the
Irritated at
definition of both of them is called an ambivert.
Okay,
Like when
there
you
you
have
go.
trace of both. So that's
Yeah,
what I identify as well. So,
yeah.
and so like, so when you're doing, spots on TV and also in film, like, do you prefer, which one do you like more? Because they're both very different.
I don't have one I like more. I mean, they're
Okay.
like you said, they're both very different. I mean, and I haven't had the opportunity yet to do like a show where I was on for like, a whole season.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I did 3 episodes of The Lincoln Lawyer, which was really awesome.
Mhm.
But and so film, it's like you're usually filming for a lot more days. And so
Yeah.
that's, I like, that's it's great getting to know people and like getting to be like a real family. And it's, it makes it harder, obviously, when you leave because
Yeah.
some of the people you'll see again, and some people I have never seen again since, I wrapped a
Yeah.
show. So, um, but I love both. I don't think I could pick because I love all the shows I've gotten to work on, and there's so many more I would love to work on. And like the movie, yeah, I can't pick. They're both great experiences. Like you said, they're just different, you know.
That must be hard to be an actor at times because, like, again, you work with different people all the time. So the turnaround rate is just like constant. So it's hard to like to make like those connections longer than, the runtime basically. So
Yeah, you're meeting new people on every project, from the cast to the crew to, hopefully, I understand why so many directors work with the same people over and over again because
yeah,
it's like once you find the people that you click with, like, like Traumatica and Two Witches, it's like I've worked with this, it's like you get it because you get a shorthand, you're a family, you understand each other, there's less of the miscommunications because you've done it. But yeah, it's constantly like learning new people and how they work, and you're putting a massive amount of personalities in one room, and you're like, hope it works,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and you kind of figure out who you want to work with and who you don't, and that's not to say that like somebody's an awful person. Maybe just personalities don't click or whatever, you
Right.
know. But yeah, it's you're always kind of navigating new people.
Before we jump on to the more recent stuff,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about To the Bone.
Yeah.
Um, so like I know you did a spot on there. Were
Mhm.
you able to meet Keanu Reeves?
I did. I didn't work with him on set, but I met him
Okay.
at the table read, and then he was at the rap party, and then he was at Sundance as well, and he is like the coolest guy. Um,
I would
I,
also,
I
yeah.
I made the like E Entertainment when they did like a thing on him where he when he takes photos with people, he like
Yeah.
puts your arm, but he doesn't like touch you. He just like does the thing where he,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
but so I made like the front page of that because we took a photo together at Sundance and I don't know, he's like the coolest guy. He just introduced himself at the table read like, like he's everybody else. He showed up to the rap party, which was like a bowling alley.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
and at Sundance, he's just like, he rolls in, he's like, what's up? He's not pretentious. There's no Hollywood air about him. There's no entourage. There's no, he just like walked off into the night when he was like done. Like it wasn't like he's just like, he's just awesome. And he's the nicest human as well. And we always kind of like, so my husband just started producing, like he's just starting to get into the industry, but he's, what we would call a muggle, right? He's not primarily his job is normal. And we
Mhm.
kind of base how people treat him is how they are. Because when they
Yeah.
find out he's not in the industry, a lot of people are like, okay, they don't care. But like, Keanu Reeves was so nice. Lily Collins, again, was a dream. Like she remembered his name. She asked him how he was doing, like,
Mm.
which seems so silly because those are basic human like things.
Previously, yeah.
But there's so many people in the industry that as soon as they find out he's not important to them, that he just isn't seen. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
like when someone takes the time to like acknowledge him and ask him, and it's like, okay, they're a good person, you know.
Yeah.
Like a podcaster. No,
That's all their ego,
Mhm.
The ego's too big that they treat them like a regular person. They say
Right.
Keanu Reeves is supposed to be a really, really humble person, and he does
Yeah.
look humble in everything that he does. He's out there eating ice cream and shit at shops, and he's doing regular shit. He's
Mhm.
doing regular things that people do. You
He's on
know,
the
Yeah.
subways.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
he's taking chains and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
he's just chilling.
we were like joking is at Sundance, it was like it was so snowy and it was like the most snow they had had in like years. And like he was like, all right, I'm out, guys. Like, nice seeing everybody. And we literally watched him walk off down the street. Like it wasn't like there was no car waiting. There was no like entourage that came with him. He had like boots on and he's just like, all right, bye. And like we just like he just went off into the night and we're like, bye. Like I was
Went to
like,
go catch the bus.
right. And it's like at his level, it's like who doesn't recognize him? Most people, majority of people do. And so it's
Yeah,
a great reminder of like, people that, like you said, that have too big a heads. It's like settle down. You're good. Like he
We're
can do
just
don't
that
people.
stuff, so can
Yeah.
you, you know?
Leading all that stuff aside, like leading up to Two Witches. Um, I'm probably gonna butcher his name, but Pierre.
Sigarides, I'll just say it for you.
Okay, all right.
It's okay.
So
It took me a while to learn how to say it
did
too.
you audition for that first, and then you just got it, or?
So that's an interesting story. So I did not. So they had another actress originally that was going to play the role,
Hmm.
and she couldn't do it for some reason. And so Christina Klebe, who plays my roommate in the movie, who's
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful actress and human. I had met her at a Halloween party, and we stayed in contact. And I guess she said to Pierre when the role became open, she said, I think I know who would be great for this. And so she recommended me and she sent my stuff to the director and him and I chatted and he looked at my reel and he didn't make me audition. He was like, I
Wow.
think you would be great for this. And that was it. And so then we started shooting
Awesome.
like relatively quickly. There wasn't a lot of
Mhm.
time. Um, and it he's great. I mean, I love Pierre. I love working with him. I work, did another movie with him,
Yeah,
Traumatica. I love working with him and Max. They give me challenges every time I work with them, and they're lovely humans and really talented filmmakers. And so doing Two Witches was really challenging, but also really fun, and gives me opportunity to kind of do stuff that I hadn't done. I never played a villain like that, and I
yeah.
never played a witch, and never somebody that was like truly evil. And so
Yeah.
it was a really great time.
I was curious about that because like you've all you've done most like mainly dramas and stuff like that, right? Like before that. So I was just kind of like wondering like how the transition into like horror was for you because I horror is like can be very extreme or it can be very subtle depending on the type of film it is, you know.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of
Yeah.
wondering.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a conscious decision. I mean, when, and still, I'm still, of course, I'm still auditioning. I mean, as an actor, you get auditions and you kind of audition for what your agent gets you, right? Or
Right,
manager.
right.
Yeah.
And it's the first kind of couple of things I booked were horror films. I did, like you said, Season of the Witch. I did House Hunting. I did a horror film called Creature. Um,
Yeah.
and the very first film I booked when I moved to LA, like first feature I booked was a film called Bastard that was a horror. So it's kind of like once you kind of do one, then people start to kind of associate you with that, which I love. I love horror. I've been a huge fan since I was 11. I love watching them. I have a whole list of movies for like October that I'm watching. And so it's perfect that I'm also doing it, but it wasn't like a conscious like, oh, I'm gonna go do horror. I want to do it, but I'm so lucky to be doing it. I feel like I will always be doing it as well, no matter what happens to my career.
Yeah. Is it something that you see in yourself like do you want like would you want to stay in horror films or would you want to branch off and continue to try different things?
I mean, I definitely want to always continue to try different things, but I
Yeah.
feel like I'll always come back to continue doing it because I mean, it's challenging, and it's like, people kind of like look down on it, and it's like, have you ever done a horror? Like it's hard. Like I don't know where people
Yeah.
think that it's like this easy genre. Like you're running from things that aren't there. You're like pretending you're possessed by something. It's like I Dakota Fanning, just I haven't gotten to see the movie yet, but she just released an interview about Vicious that just came out.
Mm.
And she's like, this is the first real horror film. She obviously did hide and seek, but that was like when she was a child. But like, this is a real
Yeah.
hardcore. And she's like, I have so much respect for people who do this genre because she's like, it is so challenging. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Like, thank you for, like, I hope more people see that because it's kind of written off as like a starter place. And I feel like that's more and more big actors are doing it, because
Yeah.
there is so many stories you can tell and like elevated horror and like, silly horror, of course, too, but there's so much you can do with the genre and it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed like the sort of movement recently of horror films where, you know, it's there's a big wave happening right now. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of content being released, but there's also big projects that have just come out. We have Weapons,
Mhm.
one of them, and I can't think of a couple others right now, but there's obviously Traumatica came out.
Yeah.
Um, which I was so bummed out because when I was texting you, I was like, I just missed it in theaters. I was looking everywhere in the Bay Area for it. I was
Yeah.
like, I'll drive to Oakland. I don't care. I want to see this movie. And that's like 45 minutes away from me. But I was like, I don't give a shit. Like also, what is $20 in gas or whatever to fucking for an experience, or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's cool to see all those movements and people taking it more seriously finally. Because I know we go through waves and like there's a big, jump and then it goes back down again, for a while. So I'm kind of glad to see like this movement of seeing horror as like a main stage.
Yeah. Because no other genre has the fans. I mean, horror has die-hard fans.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
no other type of genre has that. I mean, it's like, comedy, dramas. I love everything. I mean, we went and saw Roofman last night with Channing Tatum, which I really loved.
Oh, I want to
But
see
it's
that.
like horror is the one genre that has like, man, the fans show up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is amazing. And it's like we have, horror conventions and we have, it's like seeing the people walking around in the costumes and the cosplay and just like, man, it's like it's such a cool place to be a part of.
Yeah,
Hey, Nick,
because
aren't you a
everybody,
Raiders?
everybody. Oh God,
I was gonna say, aren't you a Raiders fan? Isn't that kind of the same thing?
Me?
No, isn't Nick? Aren't you a Raiders fan? Isn't
Oh,
that kind of the same thing?
no, it's not. Fucking, I'm a fucking diehard Raiders fan, dude. I'll fucking go
That's
down
what I'm
till the
saying.
very
Like,
end.
doesn't matter what
But
shit they do.
like everybody likes comedies, everybody likes actions, everybody likes romances and this and this, but you only got like a certain group of people who actually like horror movies and will stick with watching horror movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, even when you go in like the Halloween stores, like Spirit, because I went to Spirit last night, and it was just like, dude, watch, like they're selling Michael Myers costume for like $160 fucking dollars.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like again, what kind of person will buy that? Someone who is invested in the horror movies.
Yeah.
Yep. Me.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, on TikTok, when I scroll on TikTok, there's so many creators that are like horror, that are dedicated to horror and like you
Hmm.
guys. And it's like, you know, it's amazing because there's no other like, maybe there are other, but like I rarely see other people be like, here are the comedies that came out now. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
like and the horror fans are so supportive and that's they show up and it's just like it makes us be able to do what we do.
So speaking of horror, so you say that you loved horror your whole life, mainly. What are the horror films you like? What are like the classics that you always go back to, or the stuff that you're excited about?
what's your top three? If you had to pick three that you would just stay with forever, what three would those be?
I
Oh
have
my
my Mount
God,
Rushmore.
that's so hard. There's so many. I mean, my favorite horror film is A Sixth Sense. That's like my
Mhm.
Okay.
favorite. Like every time I watch it, I feel a range of emotions and I cry at the end every time. Like,
Yeah.
and it's rare that you cry in horror films. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so well done.
Except for
And
the long walk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, oh gosh, I mean, I top three is so there's so it's so hard. There's so many. I mean, old school. I'll go old school. Obviously, like The Exorcist is incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, like more newer mainstream, like the first Conjuring movie. The first two for me really hit, but the first one is like I loved the first one.
yeah.
Uh, I really loved Sinister, the first one
Mm.
especially, like very creepy and well done. I don't think I can name three. What else do it's so hard to pick because there's so many good
There's a
ones
lot
with
of good stuff
very
out
good
there.
Yeah.
nonsense, but I'm looking forward to like, I've watched a lot of the new ones that have come out so far this year, and there's even more to come that I am excited to see as well. And I'm, this weekend I'm hoping to watch Vicious and The Woman in Cabin 10, more of a thriller, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the book, so I'm excited to. So those are
So
some. I also loved Hereditary, was really great.
Oh, that's good.
And like what else? Carrie, I mean, back in the original, the OG
mhm.
Carrie, Sissy Spacek is just like, oh, she's so good. I don't know, probably more will come, but those are some of the ones.
I
Fun
told
fact over here. My buddy David fucking hates the Conjuring movies. He's so against those movies.
well, I'm
I'm
against
gonna
like
take him.
because they're mainly for it's because it's a Hollywood cash grab, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's like the original people like made up these stories to sell money, to make money. And I'm like and as a believer myself in the paranormal,
mhm.
I just don't support it. So,
That's fair. That's fair.
you know.
That's fair.
So I told Nick this, but eventually I'm gonna get like a Mount Rushmore tattoo of my favorite four slashers or four horror villains. So I'm gonna have Chucky, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, and Jason.
But
Um, as like a hopefully on my arm, but
That'd be sick.
I don't know, hopefully in the next couple of years.
I love. Please send me a photo when you do get that because that's
I Whenever I get money, yeah.
that that
Um,
But
that would be, that would be
he'll
awesome.
get it. Yeah. So
um,
you want to dip into Traumatica or?
well, this before that, real quick. You did a a role in VHS Halloween.
I
I
did.
Yeah.
was able to see that last weekend. And I try to watch all of them. I probably missed maybe one or two of them. So how was that like being on the first like part of the stories of being the swaddle lady?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That whole episode was so bizarre, but like in a way where it's like original and you have the first person view of like the girls running through the house and
House, yeah.
like all the creepy shit and like the signs were amazing. Like every
Yeah.
room, I was like, "That's terrifying." Like I was like, if I get stuck in a room like that, I might as well just kill myself. Just
Yeah, that's fair. You know what's funny is so I worked with so Pal Robinson is the DP of our
okay,
section. And I worked with him on a movie, like I said, Bastard, that I did like my
okay,
first feature I did out back in like 2015. And so they were trying to cast this role and they were like he contacted me and he's like we're trying to cast this part and I feel like you'd be great, can I connect you with the director? And so I was like sure, and so Anna reached out and she was like I have this, I have the script, here's the part, would you consider doing it? Like, and I read it and I was like that's so funny to me. I always laugh whenever people are like I read this and thought of you. I'm like, amazing. Please, please, I hope people continue to think of me for like the craziest, bizarre parts. Because when I read it, I was like, this is really fucked up. And I love it. And I'm
Yeah.
in. And I didn't exactly know how they were going to do it, obviously. Like, you never kind of know how they're going to do the
yeah,
practical until you get there. But our amazing production designer, he in props, he made the mask that so the real milk, it was real milk coming in, and none of that was fake. All of that was like actually happening. So it was interesting to try to uh, get it right where it was coming through, but also like coming down, and then
yeah,
uh, yeah, so that was like I think we did like 3 or 4 takes. So it wasn't too many, but it was just funny
Yeah.
because it was like, all right, get on the seat, and then I'm just like being like wrapped, like a
yeah.
burrito. So it was really fun. I'd never been a part of the VHS. Like I said, I watched most of them. I am a huge fan. And so getting to be a part of one was like kind of like a checking off on a bucket list,
Right.
Yeah.
for me. It was just I shot a couple days and it was everybody was so nice and they're all just trying to make the best.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's doing the same. There's no ego, everyone's just trying to make the
Mhm.
best thing they can.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun and they also treated us like really well as well. So
How
Sounds like a
uncomfortable was that? Because you were like wrapped up and like milk spilling all over you. Like I don't
the
know.
oddly enough, the swaddle part I was worried about, but it actually was like kind of comforting in a way.
Okay.
Like, because I was worried about like feeling like constricted, but it was
Yeah.
actually not too bad. The milk was just really cold. That was the only
Mm,
thing that it was like just it was, but it was kind of hot in the building, so it kind of worked out. And I'd rather it be cold so it wasn't like didn't smell because that's worse.
Mhm.
okay. Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
spoiled, it would like smell. Um, and they were like very concerned about me. It was so nice. They were just like the whole time, like, "Are you okay? We need to hurry." I'm like, "You guys are good. Like, let's just. I want the shot to be the best we can, so don't worry
Yeah.
about me." But they were very kind to like be concerned and making sure that I was comfortable as comfortable as I could be. But I was like, it's got to be real. I mean, you gotta do the thing, or the audience won't
Yeah.
feel it. And I got a lot of comments of like, "You made me feel sick." I'm like, yes.
Good
Yeah.
I
stuff.
I was
felt fine.
watching. I was like, ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, that would not be. It was like one of those, like you said, if you're in that situation, you're like, just end it. Just please take me out of my misery.
Yeah. Or that, or I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to murder everybody in here. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Um, Nick, do you have anything before Traumatica?
No Traumatica, because I haven't watched VHS Halloween yet.
That's fair.
I didn't get home last night till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I popped it on and then I started stitching. I started stitching shit. And then I'm like, fuck, I gotta finish the stitch. And then I started watching Traumatica, which I fucking loved. I
Oh,
thought
amazing.
that I thought that movie was just insanely crazy.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, let's dip into your Traumatica role, which you play Abigail.
Yes.
who was sexually assaulted by her father and then, possessed by his demon, and it just turns into a shit show from there on out. So let's talk about your role in that. How's the experience working in that movie?
I mean, it was wonderful. I mean, as wonderful as it can be with that material, right?
Right.
It's funny, it's interesting. So originally, I wasn't the first thought for the part because originally Pierre had based it off this video game called Granny, where this grandmother kind of,
Yeah, I played that game. Yeah.
yeah, chases this kid around. And so he originally contacted me and he was like, I'm making this movie. I had an actress that was older. She couldn't do it. Do you know anyone that might be interested? And I was like, well, let me think about it. And then he got back to me the next day and he was like, actually, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So they kind of rewrote the script to tailor to me,
Hmm.
obviously. And I was, after Two Witches, I was like down to work with them again. And I knew that it was going to be a tough, challenging role. But like I said earlier, I love that they get me stuff that I've never done. And that's a challenge as an actor. And I always grow as a human and as an artist. And I knew it was going to be a crazy ride, but they still are, they set up a really safe, supportive um, set that allows for me to like take my time and uh, be able to give the hopefully the best performance I can give within the, limited budget that they have. And I'm always impressed with what they're able to do with the money they have, you know.
Yeah. Were you able to work with Sean Whalen? I see Sean Whalen's in the movie, but I know his clips are like just like short clips. So I
Yeah,
feel
so
like his
yeah, I
go
didn't
on.
work with him like directly in that movie, but I we we play love interests in Crust, the film that he wrote and
Okay.
directed. And
Hmm.
so I'd worked with him before, obviously, on that. And then we had worked together on a film called Swipe that we just wrapped in March. And so
Okay.
when I tried to fill this part for Traumatica, um, Pierre was like, "Do you think Sean would be interested?" And I was like, let's ask him. I think so, So I was so glad that he was down to, come in for a
Yeah.
little cameo, and he's great as always. And he's, just a wonderful human. So it's always even though I didn't work with him on this set, we did a lot of like promotion for the movie together. So it's always fun to work with him.
Yeah. David, you know what the granny game is, right?
No, I never played it.
It's a game on the phone where like you're being chased around by this creepy grandma in this house, and the goal is to escape the house. So you got to find
Oh,
like little bits and parts of keys and stuff like that, and put that shit together and like unlock a door.
so now I gotta play it.
Yeah, it's really cool. So like I see it now. Like as you said that movie, as you said Granny, like I totally
Uh-huh.
see the whole
Yeah.
thing about being chased in the
Yeah.
house.
So I was inspired by that, but I was glad it worked out the way it did so that I could play the role.
It worked out good. I watched it and I was like really impressed with it. I was like, this movie is really fucking good.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that.
And that said, like, I know you did the Criminal Minds, and Emily Goss is on there too at some
Yeah,
point. Were you on set with her on during that as well?
I was not. I did not
Okay,
meet Emily until the premiere.
I
It's
got
so
you.
so interesting because doing theater, you even if you don't have any scenes with anybody, you work with everybody because you're in
Right.
rehearsals, you're doing a show, you're around everybody in the show. And with film and TV, it's like there are people that you maybe never meet until the premiere, or maybe never because maybe they never. I mean, there's people in Traumatica, there's actors in Traumatica I have never met
Yeah.
Right.
that I didn't work with and then didn't show, weren't at any of the screenings. So it's interesting that you can be in things with people and never meet never meet them.
I can imagine that being like voice actors and stuff like that. They're in all these projects, but never been in the same building with them.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like, or yeah, especially with them because they're like acting opposite somebody else, but they never meet the person because they're recording everything separate. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that's always, but I've met her at the premiere and at other events since, and she's lovely. She's great in the movie. So she
Yeah.
is super awesome.
How was working on set of Traumatica? What were your locations that you were filming at? Because there's some creepy house spots that look just like eerie as
Yeah.
shit. So
So
like,
that house is a real house in I think Sun Valley, and it's a house that almost burned down, and
Wow.
now they use it as a set.
Yeah.
And so it's you have to do very little. You bring in, they brought in the furniture, but the walls being black, it just being a creepy rundown is very much accurate. All of that, what you see is like that's very little production design. It's kind of
Yeah. It's
that's
all
how it
natural.
is. And so it's, it's cold and it's hot and there's not, there's no like working AC or working heat or anything like
Yeah.
that. So it's an interesting location. And then the flashback stuff was that it was in a studio that is
Mhm.
like meant to be a house. So
Okay.
Okay.
um yeah, so that the doing the creepy stuff at the house was fun because it immediately kind of put you into the mood of the movie because you were like you looked around, you're like this is the house. Like there you feel it. You feel it when you walk in, you know.
So is that basement real in the house or is that staged?
No, all of that, all of the house stuff with the kid is all real. That's all a real. Everything
That's
in that,
really
nothing.
cool.
It was all one house, all from the basement to the kid, like us running around to the different rooms. All of that is in that house. We didn't have to use like multiple locations. It's
Nice.
it's yeah. So and that basement is like super creepy as well.
The whole house was
It's
creepy. Yeah.
walking down. Yeah, all of it is like you imagine as like a cop going in, you're like, you would be terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
It's
shaking
all,
the
it's all
entire
looking
time. He
down
was
the
just like,
stairs.
"Where's he going?" He was like this.
You can't
Yeah.
even see down that basement. Like the stairs curve out. That thing's hella
Yeah,
weird.
No, you
Um,
can't. And I'm like, it's so creepy because yeah, you can't see what you're getting until you turn the corner. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
he's all, don't jump at me. I'm gonna shoot you. I
Yeah.
was like, I was saying the same shit. I
Well, and
love
it's
houses
funny
with
because
basements.
they pulled that from like actual police cam footage of there's actual like footage of guys going into houses like that and being like, I will fucking smoke you. Like, don't
Yeah,
shoot at me. Which I'm like, I get it. Like
yeah,
they probably in situations like that too, where people are being all weird and creepy and yeah.
speakers.
Yeah.
no, I'm
Um,
I'm fascinated with houses. I love basements. I think basements in the house is just like they're fascinating to me. I wish I had one so bad. Oh my god, if I had a basement in this house, dude, I'll deck that thing out like a crazy person.
Like a
I'll
man
live down
cave.
there. Yeah, yeah. It'll just be all Halloween shit, Halloween lights, everything all over
your
the
little
place.
dungeon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll move down there. That basement, dude. I'll live in that.
So
It's really cool.
before, do you have anything more about Traumatica, Nick?
Um, no, I mean, it sounds like you had a great experience
Yeah.
making it.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was like I'll work with them at anytime they'll have me because they set up a space for me to like do my work and they're really respectful of the craft. But also we have a good time. We have a
Yeah,
good time as much as you can doing a film like that. I mean, a
Right.
lot
Right.
are not fun to film, but they set up an experience of that you're not like dreading to go to set. Um, and it's a family and we have a shorthand with each other and we can you know ex it, what it's funny because he said like some of the harder scenes that you'd feel like would take the most time
yeah,
didn't take that much time because him and I just explicitly trust each other and I'm willing to like jump in and kind of find it while the camera's going and we do a lot of that which makes for a lot of spontaneous stuff that we were able to find and capture that maybe we wouldn't if everything was, perfectly rehearsed. Because in low budget movies, you just don't have that time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I always have a great time working with them, and they're just really, kind people as well.
So was it difficult from going from Two Witches to being like, because there's moments in Two Witches where you're like, the witch comes out, right, and like those expressions and the eyes whitening, and then you go to Traumatica where like now you're like falling on the floor and fucking like doing like crazy movements and shit like that, and
Yeah.
like your face is more like disoriented, and
Yeah.
how was that like obviously you're amplifying like your performance from, well, maybe not just that performance, but you're amplifying yourself to make yourself look completely crazy, and
Yeah.
like out of character in a way.
Like the
So
transition.
was it hard to do? Because I know that's like extreme, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a challenge. I mean, Pierre sent me like some TikToks, some videos of like and some references before we started filming of different things that we were, I watched and we would consider. And then he is a great guide and what is too much, what's not enough, um, knowing because I can't see what's they're seeing, right? Like I can do
Mhm.
something that I don't know how it's working or not working on the camera. So he's really great about uh, guiding that guiding that performance so that hopefully you're getting the scariest or creepiest face in the moments or because of the prosthetic then you're having to like do a little bit more because maybe you wouldn't see it as you can't be as subtle because you won't see it under the makeup or whatever.
Yeah.
So um it's an interesting process and it's always really fun because you're just every day trying to figure out how does this work? How does she move? How does she like walk, pre-possession, post-possession? How does how is her body moving? And we talked a lot about, obviously it's if you take the possession part out, it's a metaphor for trauma, right? And
Right.
like if you
Yep.
imagine, you know, trauma that people experience, you cannot see because it's inside, right? It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
internal. You can't see by looking at somebody. But we were like, what if what happened to her is manifested on the outside? And that's like where the boils, the blisters come in, and it's like almost like her body's eating itself from the inside out and like
Mhm.
deteriorating in a way where at the
Right.
end, like she just can't do it anymore. And it's like if that were to happen to somebody, but you could see it, what that would look like, was interesting to me as
Mhm.
well. Because I know there's a lot of people get to watch the movie and like, of course you can look at it on a very surface fun level, right? Of course, like it's a fun ride. You can look at it that way. Or you can look at the things that are happening and maybe people watching have been through it. So,
Yeah.
in some way. And so I'm always want to be respectful of that we're tackling real subjects, obviously through the lens of horror. Um, and so those are always things that are on my mind as well as, you're making a movie, so you're there to have a good time, but you're also there to do a job and to tell a story and to hopefully know that people are going to relate to what they see, as well. So that's, it's kind of all those things kind of working. And it's a challenge, and that's what I want to keep doing
Yeah.
and keep challenging myself with hopefully with every role, to do something different or, than I've done before. That's kind of how we grow, right? So
Yeah. You did a good job because
thank
the way I viewed the movie is that it was dark. It was good, but it was dark. Like her dad was the monster that she saw.
yeah,
Who assaulted her, and then and then she became traumatized, and then all that trauma she took out on on these kids and all this other stuff. But it's her expressing everything that she went through to the point of suicide.
right, yeah,
Which that trauma ended up spreading to that kid who ended up growing up to go after his sister. So it was a good movie. It was dark and it was good and it was definitely relatable in a lot of senses because there's a lot of real experiences out there like that. So
yeah.
you did a
Because
good job.
thank you. If people don't, um, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to break the line of it, right? And if you don't stop it on then it just keeps going. And that's kind of also, what we're tackling is the generational trauma of like it goes from one generation to the next because
Yeah.
nobody stops the cycle. And it's hard to stop the cycle no matter how much you're like, I'm never going to be like my dad or my mom. And then people are because that's what they know. And so that's it kind of, and not everyone will be, of course. This is just one story about somebody, but
Mhm.
it's an interesting discussion because what that looks like, and because a lot of times people don't take care of it, right? In terms of like they don't get help because it's hard to talk about. It's easier just to like kind of pretend like things didn't happen or move on, try to move on. And it always kind of bubbles back up, even if you've tried to push it down. So there's
Yeah.
just, more than anything, we're just like opening a conversation about about it and like what happens to people and what that looks like, you know.
I've been noticing about the that's kind of the trend in Hollywood right now, where like they're like for instance like Nosferatu, right? You can actually take Nosferatu out of that movie, and mostly it's a movie about mental health and also the plague, you know. So like they could have just taken him out of the movie and it could have just been a totally different thing. But of course you got to add, this. I mean, obviously it's based off the book too, but and the story of Dracula and all that stuff. But no, it's just interesting how like you can totally do that with film, and tell these stories and have more meaning to them than just a villain, you know.
Right. And
So,
tell like and it's easier to digest in a horror film than it like
Mhm.
if it was a movie, it was a drama, people would be less likely to want to go see it because it's like, oh, I don't want to watch
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so it's like we can kind of tackle issues in a horror film that maybe other genres can't tackle because people are willing to go like they will go and watch it, which is great, because there are a lot of things that need to be talked about and need
Mm.
to be explored, and this is a great way to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Mm. So again, we both loved Traumatica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Um,
that. I appreciate that.
before we let you go, there's another small project I want you to talk about a little bit.
Okay.
You did a short called Sweet Molly.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
I watched it. I
Oh,
loved it.
thank you.
Um, how was that? Because well, before I get into the next part, how was the process of filming that?
Oh, it was great. So I always feel like I have this, like, interestingly enough. So I met JC, our director, at Film Quest, which is a film festival in Utah. I met him back when I did Two Witches. We had Two Witches there, and he was there with another film of his, a short film of his, and he really loved Two Witches, and so we stayed in contact. And then he approached me with this script and was like, "I have this script. Do you want to be? I'd love you to be a part of it." And I read it, and I was like, immediately I knew it was personal to him, and I was like, "Yes, I absolutely want to be a part of this." And so. Then it was like, okay, raising the money and getting everything together. We filmed 4 days in Utah,
Mm.
and it was just such a lovely, it was tough. There were things that didn't go right. Our the tether cord that's to me is like as practical, and when we rehearsed it, everything was fine. And we went to film it, the light wouldn't come on, and so we spent like an hour trying to get the light on. And it just there were things that that never go right, but in the end, I'm really proud of how that film turned out, and I think it turned out really beautifully done, and I'm thrilled people are getting to see it. And I'll tell you after where else people will be able to see it, but because I can't say it on here yet. But um, yeah, it was a lovely experience. I would work. JC is amazing and a great director. And Tom, who played the prophet opposite me, he's a friend of
Mhm.
mine actually
Mm.
before he was cast, and he working with him was like a dream, and it just all kind of came together, and I'm just glad people are getting to see it because it's a important story.
Yeah, I loved it, and it actually there's a part of it where like it totally relates to me, and also like the twist at the end, I was like, whoa, you didn't see that
Yeah,
coming, Um, again, I'm not gonna spoil it for everybody, but who hasn't seen it yet, they gotta watch it. It's a really cool concept and idea, and and stuff like that happens,
it
so
is. It is
yeah,
happening still
a
today.
lot, yeah,
Yeah, which is insane that children under the age of 18, but children as young as 12, 11, 12 are forced to be married.
yeah,
Um,
that's
Yeah.
insane.
I won't spoil it either, but I will say that at every screening we've had, we also screened it at Film Quest again this last October, and it was a full house. It was like standing room only.
Wow.
At that moment, I won't spoil it, but you know what I'm talking about. At
Hmm.
that moment, everybody cheered, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
was
even I was like, yes, thank you,
Yeah,
um,
like you could hear a pin drop before that. And
yeah,
every screening we've been at when that moment, everybody's like, yes. But that one in particular, because it was packed, was just like it was so cool. Like I started crying. Like it was so cool because that's what you want. That's what you wanted was everybody to be like, thank God.
yeah. Well,
So,
that's the point of cinema is that you want people to feel, right? So
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
it's art. So, So the reason why this kind of like that I gravitated towards this project is because I dated a Mormon for two off and on 2 years. Although she was converted into Mormonism, so she wasn't raised as a Mormon, but much later on in life, she started going to the Church of Latter-day Saints and all that stuff, and it was so weird, like, and I'm not like, you can believe in whatever you want, that's fine, everybody has the right to do what they want, but she 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 didn't force me to go to these some of these church thingies, but I did it because it was important to her, and I cared about her at the time,
Yeah.
whatever. But it was like one time where like I there was an all boys group, right, like
Mhm.
class, and like they just like shushed me in there, like they pushed me in there, and I was like, am I about to be in a cult? Like it's crazy, like honestly, it's the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever had experienced because they were talking about, you know, all of their beliefs and everything. And I'm like, and I'm sort of like, I'm the last person you guys want to convert, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna raise
Yeah.
hell in this church, So, um, yeah, it was just that's why I gravitated towards the story, and I was like, I feel for her and the story, and although her story is different, obviously, but like,
Yeah.
I know how they can be,
Mhm.
and I guess people in a lot of different religions, but anywho, I absolutely loved it, and I was excited to see that you did that, and I watched it, and I was like, hell yeah, this is dope. So,
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. That means a
yeah.
lot. Appreciate that.
Well, that's all I got for you. This, yeah,
Hey,
but
before you go, do you have any future projects coming out that you been working on?
Yeah,
that you're
I have
allowed to
a
talk
couple of
about, yeah.
things that aren't out yet. I have a movie called Regression that I filmed last October that hopefully will be
Okay.
coming out next year.
Hmm.
I have kind of a sci-fi movie I did called The Other Kind that will be hopefully coming out next year, and then Swipe, the one that that's the first feature I also produced as well as
Yeah.
acted, and that hopefully will be coming out next year as well. And then I have some stuff in the works as well, a couple projects that are in pre-production that hopefully you'll be filming soon. So yeah, just keeping going.
Yeah,
That's
keep
right.
it
You
moving.
heard it here. You heard it here.
You heard it here, and hopefully you'll be back on the show to talk about them.
We would love to have you on
Yeah.
again. Um, so for those that are watching, listening, you can find me on the Instagrams. My personal account is Kelly_DTO, but the channel's account is Boo Crew. I know, I'm sorry, Beyond the underscore Ether on Instagram. And what you got, Nick?
Instagram, uh, Bay Area Creep, and our emails buku2025 at
At Gmail.
gmail.com. And what about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Becca BEKAHK. I'm on X. I'm on as my Rebekah Kennedy. I'm also
Mhm.
on Twitter at Rebekah Kennedy as well. I mean, not Twitter. Sorry, TikTok, and then on Facebook. All the places.
All the spots.
Yeah, I'm on
Okay.
TikTok too. I always keep forgetting to plug it in, but I'm Kelly
I know I'm not.
DTO
I'm
408.
trying to get better at posting. I'm not great, but
Yeah, I finally posted something like yesterday. Was like, so yeah, I'm trying to get
You'll,
better at it too.
you'll get there.
Yeah, yeah. It's all about growth, right?
exactly.
Anywho,
Well,
yeah,
we're
thank
definitely
you for coming on, Nick. What were you saying?
yeah. So well, we're definitely looking forward to your future roles and projects and your producing.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that.
that's be great. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you for checking out, all my work, and you guys are awesome.
Thank you. We do our
All right.
best. We do
Yeah,
our best.
yeah. Okay, we'll let you go. I'm sure you got a busy day ahead of you. So,
Awesome.
uh, enjoy
Well,
your weekend.
yeah, you too. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you
All
so
right. Thank
much.
you so much. Bye
Guys,
bye.
bye.